Kalen Voss stood calmly in the center of the panicked war room and pointed a calloused finger at a child's drawing of a flower. He claimed it was the only way to save 50 billion lives from the approaching moon-sized weapon. The High Command stared at the crude sketch, then at the man they had dismissed as a simpleton, their breath catching as the countdown reached its final minute. Is this the moment a simple farmer outsmarts an empire, or are we witnessing the final delusion of a dying world? If you need to see how this calculation ends, subscribe to our chronicle and join the inner circle. Now, let us look back at how we reached the brink. 4 months ago, the smell of damp earth had followed Kalen into the sterile, white-tinted halls of the Apex. Alara watched him from the balcony of the engagement suite, her jaw tight as she observed the man the Terrans had sent to end a 3-year intergalactic war. To the Empire, he was a peasant offered as a peace bribe. To the enemy, he was the ghost in their machines. But looking at him now, Alara saw only a primitive agrarian worker far below her station. He moved with a slow, deliberate heaviness, his hands stained with the grit of a world that still used soil to grow food. He didn't carry a datapad or a sidearm. Instead, he clutched a small, leather-bound notebook with frayed edges. When they finally met, he didn't offer a formal salute or a digital greeting. He reached into a pocket and presented her with a basic, genetically simple flower. It was a common Terran daisy, its petals slightly wilted from the journey. Alara accepted it with 2 fingers, her expression a mask of diplomatic patience, while inside she felt a cold despair. She thought she was marrying a simpleton to save her people, only to realize later that the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy wasn't a world-ending laser, it was a farmer's notebook. While the Valerian generals tracked fleet movements on holographic displays, Kalen sat in the corner of the garden, sketching. Alara would often find him hunched over his book, his pencil scratching rhythmically against the paper. She caught glimpses of the page's crude drawings of petals, root systems, and stick figures. It was a sign of his simple-mindedness, she told herself, a coping mechanism for a man thrust into a world of high-stakes political intrigue. The peace talks were failing. The enemy moon weapon was moving into the quadrant, and the Valerian tech priests couldn't find a single flaw in its shielding. As the sirens began their first low wail across the station, I have to wonder if you've ever found a secret hidden in plain sight. Subscribe to see the master strategist reveal his hand. The panic didn't seem to reach Kalen. He simply closed his notebook and walked toward the command center, his boots echoing with a steady, unhurried pace. In the command center, Kalen did not look at the tactical displays or the shimmering maps of the Valerian defense grid. He stood before the High Command, his presence an anomaly of rough-spun fabric and stillness amidst the frantic motion of officers. When he spoke, his voice lacked the sharp edge of authority, yet the room fell silent under the weight of his calm. He opened the frayed notebook, the same one Alara had dismissed as a simpleton's distraction. He turned past the sketches of root systems and the drawings of stick figures, stopping at a page that looked like a tangled web of vines. With a calloused finger, he pointed at the child's drawing of a flower. He explained that the weapon's core didn't function like a machine, but like an organism. It required a specific, cyclical cooling rhythm to prevent a collapse. By mimicking the growth pattern of a Terran daisy, he had found the exact frequency to disrupt the moon weapon's internal heartbeat. Alara watched from the periphery, her heart hammering against her ribs. She saw the master strategist clearly for the first time, realizing that in a galaxy of warriors and emperors, the man who understood how to make things grow was the only one who knew how to dismantle the systems of death. The countdown hit 10 seconds. Kalen tapped a final sequence into the console, his movements rhythmic and precise, as if he were planting seeds in a straight row. The bridge held its breath, as the moon-sized weapon didn't explode in a violent burst of light. Instead, its external plating began to shudder and flake away like dead leaves in autumn. The massive energy signature simply wilted. The weapon that was supposed to end 50 billion lives became a silent, drifting husk, its power drained by a logic the Valerians were too arrogant to ever consider. The war ended not with a bang, but with a quiet, collective exhale. Weeks later, the gardens of conquered Apex were no longer sterile. Kalen sat on a stone bench, the same notebook resting on his knee. Alara approached him, her silk robes whispering against the grass. She looked at the book, the object she had once pitied, and saw it now as the most sophisticated tactical document in history. Kalen looked up and smiled, the same simple, honest expression he'd had the day they met. He turned to a fresh page and began to draw. He wasn't mapping a weapon or calculating a trajectory. He was capturing the curve of Alara's jaw and the light in her eyes. The notebook had returned to its original purpose, recording the only thing left that mattered. The sketch was a messy, beautiful reflection of a peace they had finally earned. Was the farmer's greatest victory the war he stopped, or the connection he finally grew? Subscribe to hear our next chronicle of the unexpected.